report on paragraph 4 of this report. Meanwhile, I have looked at the CVs of the 4 nominees, and I want to say that they have very rich background and experience and education to work in the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. But I find paragraph 4 in page 6 of this report very worrisome. The committee noted that 3 out of the 4 nominees from the North Central were from the North Central, Northeast, Northwest, and Southwest geopolitical zones. 1 nominee is from the Southwest, that is Mr. Deleke Adebayo Rafiu. Mr. President, the committee noted that this composition of this commission is not in accord with the provision of Section 14(3) of the Constitution, which deals on federal character. Mr. President, we know that the chairman of this commission, or the acting chairman of this commission, is from the Northeast. So there are now 4 from the North, if you go by the committee report. And just 2 weeks ago, this Senate confirmed the nomination of the secretary to the commission. That secretary to the commission is from the Southwest. And in the membership in this commission, we have Adeleke again from the Southwest. The Southeast and the South-South are obviously not accommodated in the commission. Mr. President, we have continued to say this, that if there is need to accommodate all parts of Nigeria in activities of government, particularly in appointing people to agencies of government. That has been the practice in this chamber. And on this issue of fight against corruption, Mr. President, this commission is a very important commission because the fight against corruption involves all parts of Nigeria. People are investigated from all parts of Nigeria. It will not be nice if we begin to constitute a commission that will fight corruption to the satisfaction of all Nigerians, and some parts of Nigeria are not represented in the commission. If you look at this composition, Mr. President, without saying the obvious, some people may think that the war against corruption is instituted for them. Only them will be the people that will be dealt with. Because in an agency like this, the absence of a representative from the South-South and the Southeast can show you clearly that if you are the one to be investigated, you will come into the commission, you won't even see somebody to tell you good morning before they take your briefcase from you. So I think it is important that in doing this, particularly as the committee observed it, that there is need to take people from the other geopolitical zones into the commission. I know there may be constraint as to number, but if we have a chairman from the Northeast, we go again to have a member from the Northeast. We have a secretary from the Southwest. We go and take a member from the Southwest. Mr. President, this thing is not good. I want us to bear this in mind, that in dealing with important issues like this, corruption is the serious challenge Nigeria is facing. And people who will fight corruption in this country will be drawn from all the parts of the country. So that if they're investigating somebody from the Northeast, for example, there is a chairman from the Northeast from that commission, there is a member from the Northeast. Somebody from the South-South should be able to ask important questions about the suspects. Somebody from the Southeast should ask important questions about the suspects, vice versa. If you have somebody from the Southeast that's being investigated, somebody from the Northeast who is the chairman should make sure that that person is properly investigated. So I want to say that this composition, not being in accord with the federal character principle, the Senate should not go and approve nominations from chairman from Northeast, a member from Northeast, secretary to the commission from Southwest, a member from the Southwest, and 2 geopolitical zones will be left out. This corruption should be fought with every force available. There should be no sacred cow, and there should be no preferential treatment. This is my observation to this report. And I believe that it is not late, since the committee screened these people in 2017. In 2017, there's nothing wrong with the Senate returning this nomination to the president. After all, we have amended the Electoral Act several times, and the president returned them. This one is not good. Let us return this report to the president with these observations. Good enough, all things returned to us were made with observations. The Senate should be bold enough to return these nominations to the president with observations that Lawan Maman is from Northeast, and the acting chairman of the commission is from Northeast. And another observation that Mr. Adeleke Adebayo, a member nominated, is from the Southwest, and that we have approved a secretary to the commission from Southwest. We will further observe that the South-South and the Southeast have nobody in this commission. This war against corruption is against everybody that is corrupt. There should be no preferential treatment in the management and running of EFCC. I so submit with utmost respect to my distinguished colleagues in this chamber. Let us not proceed as if we see good people who say, yes, human beings have the tendencies of preferential treatment to their brothers, and we will not allow that in EFCC. So I would like these nominations to be stood down and returned with these observations, so that the president will draw members from South-South and Southeast, and remove Adeleke from Southwest because there's a secretary to the commission from Southwest, drop Lawan Maman from Northeast, and put somebody from the Southeast because the chairman of the commission is from the Northeast. I so submit. Thank you, Mr. President.
I have the floor. Privilege. I'm speaking on privilege. I'm speaking on privilege. I'm speaking on privilege. I have the floor. I have the floor.
You have a rowdy floor. A rowdy floor.
I have the floor. I have the floor. Marafagan, sit down. 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 I have the floor. I have the floor.
Sit down.
I have the floor.
A rowdy floor.
A rowdy floor. I have been allowed by my chairman to say something.
They gave you a rowdy floor.
I had to raise an observation and an objection to the confirmation of the nominees on the ground that the nominees did not reflect the federal character principle enshrined in the Constitution, in Section 14C of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Gratuitously, the Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption, in its report, captured by itself that the nominations were in violation of the federal character principle. And simply explained, the EFCC is made up of 6 members, the chairman of the commission, the secretary of the commission, and 4 other members. So by this number alone, on the basis of equity and compliance to the federal character principle, it follows that one member of that commission must come from one geopolitical zone, without any controversy. Already, we have the chairman of the commission, Mr. Magu, coming from the Northeast. The secretary to the commission was confirmed by the Senate in plenary. I was in attendance 2 weeks ago, and the secretary of that commission comes from the Southwest. Then today, the 4 members that will complete the number 6, I discovered that one nominee, Mr. Maman, is from the Northeast again, and Mr. Deleke is from the Southwest, another member, nominee. So I consider this to be wrong. The Southeast and the South-South geopolitical zones have no nominee. And if we had gone ahead to confirm these appointments, it would be miscarriage of justice and a flagrant violation of our cradle of faith, unity and faith, peace and progress. The only way you can build a united country is by inclusiveness. I've had cause to bring a motion before where I said that the Southeast has no member in the National Defense Council and, of course, the National Security Council. I was violently opposed by some people, even though that motion elicited very hot debate. And in the wisdom of the Senate President, it was noted. But since then, nobody has come out from the Senate or outside the Senate to tell me one person who is from the Southeast that is a member of the National Defense Council. There's no such thing. Today again, if I'd allowed this thing to pass, it will mean that the Southeast and the South-South geopolitical zones will not have a member in the EFCC. The EFCC is a controversial body in Nigeria. You all are aware. The fight against corruption is a national phenomenon. It's not a fight that will be given in the hands of some members of some people from this country, and others will not be part of the fight. In order to ensure fairness and transparency in the activities of this commission, it is important that every geopolitical zone will have a member in that commission. Now, from what we considered this morning, 2 people would have come from the Northeast, 2 people would have come from the Southwest, 1 from Northwest, 1 from North Central, then none from Southeast and South-South. I think this is not the way to go in this country. That was why I opposed it. And even when the Senate wanted to proceed to consider the nominations, I had to raise my voice, because I know if they had gone ahead to do that, that would have been the end of it. And I'm happy that so many other people joined me in protesting this anomaly. And because of the furor it generated, the Senate President, in his wisdom called for executive session. At the executive session, of course, we debated it robustly, and those who were previously saying that no problem with that agreed that there was point that I raised that must be considered. And unanimously in the executive session, we resolved to stand down the 2 reports for further legislative work, and for them to liaise with the leadership of the country who brought these nominations to reflect the federal character. Now, my objection has nothing to do with the nominees. They are excellent people by their profiles and CVs, curriculum vitae, but such people can be found in other parts of Nigeria as well. So I had to insist, and joined by many other colleagues, and in the end, the executive session approved it, that the way to go is to stand down the reports so that the leadership of the country will go in line with the observations made by the Senate. So I'm profoundly happy. One thing about this is that some of these things can go on unaddressed if people keep quiet. You know, this country is a country all of us love. Nobody loves Nigeria more than me. I continue to say this. I want Nigeria to be run on the basis of equity and fairness. When I came here in January, I was sworn in, and I came here to address you. I said that I have come to this Senate to join in searching for actions that will unite Nigeria, actions that will promote level playing ground for all citizens of this country. I've continued to do that. And today is a triumph for representative democracy. This Senate is a parliament and is a representative parliament. People are elected from various parts of Nigeria, 109 senatorial districts to be in this chamber. And the essence is that you represent one constituency, and you have to champion the cause of your constituency and also join in making good laws for the good governance of Nigeria. So if this thing had passed today, it would have been a bad day for representative democracy in Nigeria. So I thank my colleagues who saw the need that it will hurt the essence of having a united country, and these reports were stood down. So that's what I have come to share with you, and enjoying you to support actions that will unite Nigeria, not actions that will divide Nigeria. You know, if we continue like this, both the parliament and the press, Nigeria will become better for it. I'm sure that with this action taken by the Senate today, next time, if Mr. President wants to make appointments on anything, he must take note of what happened in the Senate today and ensure that he makes nominations from across the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. That's the only way we can succeed and see ourselves truly as brothers and sisters, bound by one destiny as a nation. You know, we cannot continue to say things the way they benefit us. If it is good for my zone, then others can go to hell. We cannot do it like that. So all of us in this room, we are from various parts of Nigeria. I want us to see ourselves as brothers and sisters from one country. The only thing that can spoil it is discrimination, lack of level playing field for everybody, you know, manipulation of things to the advantage of some against others. This thing cannot be allowed to happen. So I thank you for inviting me to elucidate on the action I took at the plenary today. And I can tell you that when we finished, everybody in the Senate, rising from the executive session, commended my action. It would have gone if I hadn't challenged it. So today is a good day for all of us. Thank you very much.
Questions, please. Okay,
Yes.
Yeah, you're up.
Distinguished senators, this is not the first time, the Senate accuse or complain of lopsidedness of appointment
Yeah.
from the president.
Yeah.
Now, are you expecting any change now, or you are just trying to make a point?
No, I'm not trying to make a point. I think this is the type of action that is needed to correct such imbalance. You know, when things, the Constitution empowers the Senate to make confirmation of certain appointments. And if those appointments come and the Senate looks at those appointments dispassionately and withholds its confirmation of those appointments on the ground of violation of federal character principle, anybody who will be president tomorrow, not even only this president, in sending nominations to the Senate will be properly guided. Because this is not about discretion. It's a constitutional requirement, federal character, Section 14C. And there's no law that's above the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. When some people were arguing in the plenary that the EFCC Act, says 4 members, without saying how you draw the members, alongside with chairman and secretary, I told them that the Constitution is the grand norm. That is the highest law in Nigeria. And if the Constitution in Section 14C provided for federal character principle in the appointments we make, in the things we do, not only appointments, any exercise in Nigeria you want to embark on must be in accord with the federal character principle. today, in recruiting people in the many organizations and agencies of the federal government, the recruiting agencies are now being compelled to send a list of their recruitments to the Federal Character Commission for certification of compliance before those names will be released. It's very important because it's something that has been